I know you had some connection issues there, Garrison, but you're looking better. So
awesome, cool.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on the offense in general, or what you think may have changed in your mind from earlier this week?
Well, real quick, I want to say this based on what you were saying about the offense, and you being a little bit more confident. Oh, there we go again.
Yeah, you're getting a little laggy, but I can hear you still.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, I mean, keep talking. They can still hear you. So, I mean, look, if Ohio State plays their best offensively, there are very few teams in the country that I think can stop them. But don't get me wrong. I don't think they're the best offensive team in the country. I think they might be the best defensive team in the country since the Oregon game, which I think that's a huge deal because Nico, he is a freshman. So I think he's going to have a tough time in this environment, in this, in playing in the cold. This is the first cold game that he's played in at Tennessee. And Tennessee, they decided to practice inside most of the last couple of weeks, which is wild. Because the game temperature on Saturday, I just watched the Weather Channel here in Columbus. They're calling for it to be 21 degrees at kickoff with a feels-like temperature in the teens. I'm sorry, that'll be the end of the game. Start of the game is 25. Still feels like temperature in the teens. And Ohio State's been practicing outside all week because they knew the forecast. They knew it was going to be cold. So they're going to be ready for the elements. I'm not sure how well Tennessee is going to be ready for the elements. Now, you can argue which style of play from these teams translates better to a cold weather game. Tennessee's effectiveness in the run game, I would argue maybe they would have a little bit of an advantage, most of the time there. But I think they are still – Ohio State's still more equipped to play in the cold, and I think that's something to watch. It's not going to be windy, so there's not really going to be much of an issue throwing the football. It shouldn't really the wind shouldn't affect kicks. Now the cold is going to affect kicks, and that's something I do want to talk about here with Garrison once he's able to get back is the kicking game, because that's something that scares the hell out of me, especially with Day's comments about not being able to decide on a kicker. I mean, we're 3 days out or 2 days out now, and they still haven't decided what kicker they're going to use. I mean, Jaden Fielding, he's had some problems this year, but I mean, to all of a sudden want to put in a kid, Austin Snyder is the other person that he was looking at possibly bringing in. He transferred in from Findlay College a couple of years ago, so in 2023. He has never kicked in an FBS game. So to have the thought of putting someone in like that into this first-round playoff game that could decide the fate of Ryan Day's tenure, that's kind of a problem. So I'm surprised that he's, doing that. I would have thought he would have tried to go with someone with more experience, but also at the same time, he also knows there's nothing to lose. And it just strikes me as odd that they hadn't figured this out preseason. Like they didn't realize that Fielding was going to have these issues. So I would have thought that they may have had some kicking battles prior to the season before this happened. So, and Garrison's back, and I know you've been listening to me a little bit on that kicking front. So, what are your thoughts on that whole kicking saga?
I'm happy that he's having a competition right now because it should have been done months ago. Knowing what the weather's going to be like and how it could be, it might be windy. Not sure yet.
Dude, it's not supposed to be super windy. I know you missed part of the weather. It's going to be cold though.
Okay. Well, if it's not windy, I'm a little bit happier. But, dude, I'm just not confident in our kicking game. Like if it comes down to a game-winning field goal, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna look at the TV.
Oh, my butthole's gonna be
I'm
puckered
not,
so tight, man.
dude. I'm just gonna go ahead and say, you know what? I'm going to my nearest liquor store and drown my sorrows, man. Like I don't care who's kicking. I just have no reason to be confident right now.
Yeah,
I just don't.
I totally agree with you. 100% with you on that.
And now, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was gonna say it's just it's frustrating that they haven't even had like we're here 2 days before a first round playoff game and they don't have this settled. That's the concerning thing.
Yeah.
Like this is an issue the coaching staff should have noticed in practice or in other games and just like made a call or had a kicking competition at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's frustrating.
So now that I'm back I'm actually connected. I want to ask you about Ryan Day when he goes for broke, because not a lot of people are talking about it, and it only happens in the playoffs and in bowl season outside of last year. But we were missing people that game, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
Dude, when he goes for broke, man, it's a sight to see. It's a sight to see, and this is the first time he's been able to do that with a defense. The last time he was able to do that would have been 2020. So where like the offense can go for broke and then the defense just hammers away.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I'm really excited to see is that what Ryan Day does in the postseason. He's a very good postseason coach. I do want to give him credit for that. He does very well in the postseason in terms of play calling on offense, simply on offense. Because I'm not going to hold him responsible for what Georgia did to Ohio State. And, like that's on Jim Knowles. But yeah, I'm very excited, dude. And I truly believe that if Ohio State can blow them out, I'm going to reassess how I feel about that Oregon game.
I agree with you on what Day does in the playoffs as far as he has more reckless abandon, which I think is needed. Because I think what kills him or kills this team is when they play tight. Like when they feel pressure, they pucker up. That's probably the overwhelmingly biggest concern I have about this game. And then it's the offensive line, just because of the fact that the play calling, if you call things afraid of what might happen, you've already lost the battle. Like then the offensive line doesn't matter because you're not putting them in a position to succeed. So he has, that Georgia game, even though it was a loss, to this day, I think it was Ryan Day's best called game as far as the offensive play calls that were there.
It helps having CJ.
CJ was great. And what they were able to do was they got their playmakers in space and in positions to succeed. So that's what we needed to do. That's what he needs to do here against Tennessee as well. And if that's the Ryan Day, the difference is now it's Ryan Day and not Kelly's calling the plays now. So Ryan Day needs to instill that kind of mentality into Chip. And if he does, then I think it means good things for this offense because I don't think Tennessee's defense is good enough to stop, quite frankly. I just think Tennessee's defense is good. They are not great by any means. Ohio State goes against a better defense in practice every day.
Yeah.
So, if Day can get a little bit, if they go aggressive, I think good things will happen.